So, what do you think it is that makes it feel compelling to poke around at that problem in a sort of explanatory manner? See this? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. It's not enough to just say, no thanks. No, thank you. I'm not the only one who doesn't like it. We hear you say. Nobody really likes that. We shouldn't have to put up with it. We just shouldn't. I'm going to get online. I'll bet there's others feel the same way. Yep. It's a movement. I'm going to join the war against. There's a war against drugs and a war against poverty and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against poverty and a war against drugs and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against cancer and a war against drugs and a war against teenage pregnancy and a war against and a war against and a war against and a war against, and they're all getting bigger because the more you look at something, the more law of attraction says, oh, here's more, here's more, here's more, here's more. So we want you to realize that while it is of value for you to know what you don't want, while it is helpful to know what you don't want, while solutions are born out of defining the problem, the more you define the problem, the more you define the solution. We just want to be very clear that while you're still defining the problem, you cannot catch a vibrational glimpse of the solution. And law of attraction is responding to you where you are offering your vibration. And there are a lot of people who think that just by saying positive words or by saying it in a positive way, that's enough, that law of attraction should now take them at their word. And we say, law of attraction does not take you at your word. Law of attraction takes you at your vibration. And the only way you really know what your vibration is by the way you're feeling. So you have two indications of whether you're leaning away from who you really are and what you want, or toward who you really are and what you really want. The first evidenced is the way you feel, your emotions. But many of you have become so determined and strong and valiant and vigilant and hardy and determined that you can withstand a whopping amount of negative emotion. Those who were here when you got here sort of trained you that way. Quit your crying. Quit your crying, they said. Keep a stiff upper lip. The world doesn't revolve around you. It really does. It really does. Your world exactly revolves around you. And if you're keeping a stiff upper lip in the face of something unwanted and not doing anything about changing your focus until the tension goes away, you cannot be a vibrational match to the solution. That's what that tension that you feel is. That's your indication that you're not in the vicinity of who you really are and what you really want. You were source energy before you came into these bodies. Do you know that? You don't remember it. Do you know that? You don't remember it. Do you know that? You sort of have to take our word for it, but do you know that? You don't remember that. You were source energy. You don't remember that because you came forth wanting new exposure to new experience, but you don't remember what was before you were in this physical body. But you don't have to remember that because the larger part of you is still there, and that larger part of you is still emanating strong signals to you, so you don't have to remember it, you can feel it. You can feel the vibration of who you came from, but better stated, who you have become. Because as you came forth from this source energy, a part of your consciousness, into this physical body, as you explore here, knowing what you don't want and therefore knowing what you do want, every time you emanate that rocket of preference, the inner being part of you becomes it, absorbs it, amends who you are, becomes the fuller version of who you are as a result of this most recent exposure to life. So you can tell all day, every day, in every moment that you are conscious or awake or aware. You can tell whether you are vibrationally in the vicinity of who you are. You feel contentment, satisfaction, ease and flow, love and passion, exhilaration. In other words, you feel fabulous when you're tuned in to the energy of who you really are. And the less close to that frequency you are, the worse you feel. The more you feel frustration or lethargy or anger or fear or depression. In other words, the emotional guidance scale really indicates one thing and one thing only, but it's a big thing. It indicates your relationship with who you really are. Now, many people, at first, when they hear us say that, think, I don't know, Abraham, I've always pretty much known who I am, and I'm in this body. I was little, now I'm big. I was young, and now I'm older, but I pretty much know, I think, who I am. We say, not even close. Most humans have no real sense of who you are. You don't know your power. You don't know your wisdom. You don't know your clarity. You don't know your stamina. You don't know your love. You don't know your worthiness. You are allowing but a scanty little part of yourself because you're fixated on problems and using those problems as your predominant point of focus. Most people offer most of their vibration, which, it's so important because your vibration equals your point of attraction. What you're putting out is what you're getting back. Most people offer the majority of their vibrational output because of something that they are observing. But they're not very particular about what they observe. Do you ever watch television? If you do, you are bombarded by unwanted stuff. And it comes at you much faster than you can sort, sift, decide, and pivot. Much faster, much faster. So you just hear it and 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 hear it, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it and respond, hear it, respond, hear it, respond. And you let that television train your frequency into unwanted territory, and then you wonder why the things that are in your vortex, the things you really want, don't come to you in the way we profess that they should come. What's wrong with me, you say? We say nothing in the world is wrong with you, but you sometimes let unwanted things do the majority of training you into a frequency that then you say, well, I'm tough. I've got a stiff upper lip. I'm determined. I can play full on. I can make it happen. I will make myself financially prosperous. I will bring myself into alignment with what I want. And we say, really, friends, you cannot force it. You have to feel it into place. You have to allow it. You have to surrender the resistance in order to allow who you really are to be. Years ago, Jerry found a book. It was called Think and Grow Rich. As he read it, he felt on fire about it because it taught him things that he did not consciously know that he knew. And as he read the book, it left many questions for him. Sometime after Jerry and Esther began their work with us, Jerry was making a presentation, a lecture in Phoenix, and a crowd about this size was listening to him telling a story from the book. And as Esther was sitting in the audience, new to Abraham, not new to Think and Grow Rich, not new to Jerry, new to her beginning understanding of vibration, meditating every day, having trained her vibration upward through meditation, so much so that she was now in clear communication with Abraham. As Jerry told this story that Esther had heard him tell many, many times, she felt herself infused with the energy of something unknown to her. And she found herself having to cling to her seat in order to be seated. And then she realized that she was receiving some sort of energy from someone similar to what Abraham is, but different, pointedly different. And then Esther realized that Napoleon Hill was blowing and flowing through her. Tears running down her face of his appreciation for Jerry's presentation of something from his groundbreaking, record-breaking, powerful book. So when Jerry finished his presentation, Esther rushed to the stage and said, come with me now. Come with me now. Come with me now. And she dragged him to the car in the parking lot where Jerry sat and visited for an hour or more with Napoleon Hill. Jerry said, I've loved your book. It was transforming for me. He said, I know. Jerry said, if you were to do something different now, what would you do? He said, I would explain where it came from. I would talk more about infinite intelligence. I would talk about vibration. I would explain the vibrational dynamics of creation. Jerry said, why didn't you? He said, I did, but they wouldn't publish it. So Jerry and Esther proceeded down their path of visiting with Abraham as we put back into the context everything that had been edited out, talking about vibration. Then years later, Jerry and Esther became involved in a project. It was to be a television presentation. It was The Secret. Of course, you've heard of it. And as The Secret evolved, which was to be its original contract with Jerry and Esther, it was to be a presentation of the work of Abraham. And as Jerry and Esther made their presentation, and we recorded many hours for the producer, everything that was remotely directed toward the idea of vibration was edited out. Again. Because this physical world that you live in apparently doesn't want to know about your vibrational root. But in your unwillingness to explore the vibrational beingness that is you, you miss everything that matters. If you aren't willing to address yourself as an extension of the vibration of that which is source, then you have no way of knowing what your relationship is with that source that is within you. In other words, if you don't have some central vibrational frequency that you are tuning yourself to, you have no guidance system. And it is so interesting that every person on the planet, every animal on the planet, everyone who exists in this physical form, every one of you have emotions that are your indicator of the vibrational frequency between what you have evolved to, what's in your vortex, who the source within you is, what the current vibrational state of every single thing that you've expanded to is, and where you stand in this minute with the thought that's active in your mind right now. So when you're focused upon something that is unpleasant to you and you feel that negative emotion within you, that's your indicator that while you certainly have the free will to explore it, and while it is certainly all right with everyone who exists for you to activate a vibration within you, no matter what it is, that negative emotion that you feel is your indicator that you are off the signal of that which you have evolved to. You are off the beam of who you really are. So then, years after that, Jerry is in Salt Lake City. Esther is there visiting family. And Jerry is in the bookstore and he sees the strangest looking, old-fashioned, funny cover on a book. Think and Grow Rich, it says. Original manuscript. Jerry's heart is beating fast as he snatches it from the shelf. He buys it, and then he buys the version that he had been reading through the years, took it back to his hotel room, and while Esther is visiting with family day after day, Jerry is in the hotel room going through the book line by line by line, marking what's in each book. And when he was finished, he discovered all of those missing pieces that had been edited out of the original manuscript put back in. You know what they are? You are vibrational beings. You are vibrational beings. You live in a vibrational universe. Everything around you is vibrational in nature. And the only way that you can ever sort it out is by being aware of what the vibration is that's going on. In other words, we have through the years taken the subject of vibration light years beyond where it was then. The point that we're making with you here and now is that unless you accept the vibrational nature of your being, and unless you pledge to yourself that you will be aware of the emotions that you are feeling, and unless you are aware as you think thought by thought, as you build these pathways one by one, you can never really know how it is, how powerful it is that you are the creator of your own experience. We've enjoyed this interaction more than words can convey. It's a very satisfying experience to stand inside your vortex in full